Pause for a moment. Feel the weight of this truth, pressing against the edges of your awareness. Everything you've ever been taught about becoming, about progress, success and destiny, has been backwards. They told you that life was a staircase, that you must climb step by step, enduring, waiting, striving, until one day in the distant future you might finally arrive. But here's the paradox no one told you. The version of you you've been chasing is not waiting somewhere in tomorrow. That self, the one who is healed, whole, abundant, fearless, already exists. And right now, that version is not sitting idle. It is reaching for you, stretching backward through the invisible layers of time, trying to close the distance between who you think you are and who you truly are. Listen carefully. What if all the years of striving, all the battles and delays, were never about getting closer to your future? What if the real invitation was to recognize that your future is already coded into the present moment, that you are not running toward it, it is flowing toward you right now? Think about it. Every breakthrough you've ever longed for, every healing, every success, every answered prayer, it already exists in a higher frequency of you. The future you isn't a dream. It's a memory that your soul already carries. And in this moment, that memory is pressing against the edges of your awareness, begging to be recognized. This isn't fantasy. This isn't self-help hype. Science is whispering the same secret that prophets and mystics have shouted for centuries. Time is not a straight line. The future is not ahead of you. It is layered within you, and only the awakened will ever feel its pull. So let me ask you, can you sense it? That faint vibration beneath your skin, that quiet knowing that your destiny is not something you chase, but something you collapse into when you align. If you can feel it, even slightly, then you are already being pulled out of the illusion. You are standing at the threshold of something that very few will ever experience, the moment where becoming ends and being begins. And once you see this, you can never go back. They told you time was a straight line, that you were born, you live, and one day you die. They told you your future is always ahead of you, your past always behind you, and the present is nothing more than a fleeting second, caught in between. But what if I told you this entire model is a lie of perception? What if the way you've been trained to see time is nothing more than a survival construct, a trick of the human mind to organize experiences in a way that feels safe, linear, predictable? Quantum physics is whispering what mystics have always known. Linear time is an illusion. The deeper you look into the fabric of reality, the less sense the clock makes. Subatomic particles refuse to play by the rules. Effects can show up before causes. Entangled particles communicate instantly, across galaxies, as though distance itself doesn't exist. From the vantage point of the quantum field, there is no past or future. There is only now, the eternal present, where all versions of you exist simultaneously. Let this sink in. Somewhere right now, there is a version of you who never doubted themselves, a version who already carries the wealth, the peace, the power you've been praying for. And somewhere else, there is a version of you trapped in fear, in regret, in cycles you're determined to break. Both exist, side by side in the field, and the one that becomes your lived reality depends on the frequency you tune into. Linear time says you must wait, work, and struggle until you finally grow into that higher self. But the field reveals something far more radical. You can collapse into that self now, because it already exists. Your healing is not years away. Your breakthrough is not hiding in the distance. They are encoded in parallel selves that are available in this very moment. So here is the shocking truth. You are not traveling through time. Time is traveling through you. Every possible outcome of your life, is orbiting you like stars in a constellation, and whichever one you choose to focus on, to embody, to align with, becomes the timeline you collapse into. This is why some people seem to leap into success overnight, while others grind for decades without progress. It has nothing to do with effort, and everything to do with alignment. They are not ahead of you. They simply shifted to a parallel version of themselves, where the breakthrough was already true. The question isn't, will you get there someday? The question is, which version of you will you allow yourself to embody now? And if this sounds impossible, remember, the moment you start to observe yourself differently, your reality shifts to match. The future you've been praying for has been reaching for you all along. The only thing standing in the way is your belief that time must be linear. Once that illusion breaks, you're free. Let me bring this down from theory into lived experience. 3 years ago, I had reached a breaking point. I was exhausted from carrying battles that felt endless. Every step forward seemed to collapse under the weight of old patterns, old fears, old stories I couldn't shake. I thought I needed more time, more years of grinding, more effort, more discipline, but time wasn't healing me. It was only repeating me. And then something happened that changed everything. In the quiet of a sleepless night, I felt it, a presence, a version of me that was both deeply familiar and yet infinitely more free. It wasn't a vision of some far-off future self. It was me, but already healed, already confident, already moving through life without the chains that I still felt around my ankles. For the first time, I realized the breakthrough I was chasing wasn't years away. It was here. I asked that version of me one question: what do you know that I don't? And the answer was not complicated. It wasn't a list of achievements or steps or strategies. It was a frequency, a way of being. That self carried peace like oxygen. That self embodied abundance without trying. That self moved with a kind of certainty that made every obstacle irrelevant. And just by observing it, just by letting my awareness touch that version of me, something began to shift. In the weeks that followed, pain that I thought would take years to heal began to dissolve. Habits I thought I would wrestle with forever started losing their grip. Opportunity appeared that matched the energy I had glimpsed in that higher self. And I realized it wasn't that life suddenly got easier. It was that I stopped identifying with the version of me who struggled and started embodying the version of me who had already won. And here's the most radical part. That version had always been there, waiting, reaching. I just hadn't believed I could collapse into it now. From that moment on, I stopped asking, how long will it take? And started asking, which version of me am I willing to embody today? That's the invitation for you, the life you dream of, the wholeness you crave, the freedom you ache for. They are not hiding in some distant horizon. They are alive in you now, coded into a parallel self, waiting for you to choose alignment instead of delay. 3 years ago, I met that version of me, and in weeks, the shift dissolved years of pain. That's the power of collapsing, the illusion of time. Now that you've heard the story, let's make this practical. The shift from chasing your future to embodying it now can feel like stepping into a new dimension, and in many ways it is. To navigate this, you need a framework, something simple but powerful enough to stabilize the new awareness, so it doesn't just inspire you for a moment, but transforms you for a lifetime. I call it the 3 pillars. Think of them as gateways into the quantum field of your higher self. Each one opens a door, and together they anchor you in a new reality. The first pillar is temporal coherence alignment. Most people are fragmented by time. Part of them is trapped in regret, replaying old wounds that no longer exist. Another part is reaching, straining toward a future that hasn't yet arrived. Very little of them is fully here. But coherence begins when you stabilize awareness in the present, right now, this breath, this moment. When you stop scattering your energy across past and future, you reclaim the only place where power exists, the now. Temporal coherence is not about ignoring your past or abandoning your future. It is about aligning every piece of yourself into the living moment, where all timelines converge. The second pillar is coherent receptivity. Most people think they are open, but in truth they are open through distortion, receiving everything through the filter of fear, doubt, or unworthiness. Coherent receptivity means you open without distortion. You train yourself to become an instrument tuned to truth, not static. It is the difference between a radio picking up noise and a radio tuned perfectly to a clear frequency. When you embody coherent receptivity, guidance flows, opportunities appear, synchronicities align. It's not that they weren't there before, it's that now, for the first time, you can receive them without interference. And the third pillar is multi-temporal integration. This is where the illusion of time finally dissolves. You realize you are not one self moving through a linear journey, but many selves existing simultaneously. Integration is the art of embodying wisdom across timelines. It's when the healed you whispers back into your present pain, dissolving it instantly. It's when the abundant you radiates into your present lack, collapsing scarcity in real time. It's when the fearless you lends its strength to the part of you that still trembles. Integration means you no longer wait to become that version. You allow it to inform you now, to move through you now, until the difference between who you were and who you are dissolves completely. These three pillars, temporal coherence alignment, coherent receptivity, and multi-temporal integration, are not concepts to remember. They are living practices to embody. Together, they form a framework that stabilizes you in the field, prevents you from slipping back into linear illusion, and anchors you in the reality where your highest self is not a distant dream, but a present identity. And once you live from this place, everything changes. We've spoken about the illusion of time, we've explored the framework, but this is the moment where theory dissolves and experience begins. This is where you don't just hear the message, you become the message. So wherever you are, allow yourself to pause. Sit with your spine tall, your heart open, and your eyes either gently closed or softly resting on a point ahead of you. Let the world fall silent for just a few moments. This is not about doing more. This is about allowing. Take a slow, deep breath in and release. Again, inhale through the nose, steady, present, hold it gently, and exhale, letting go of the weight of every timeline that is not serving you. Now, as you breathe, imagine a subtle shift in your awareness. Imagine that behind the thoughts, behind the worries, behind the stories you've been carrying, there is an open field, a stillness that has been waiting for you all along. Rest there, and in that stillness, we make an invitation. Whisper it inside, or speak it softly with your lips. Future self, I am ready to receive. Say it again, but feel the words move through your entire being. Future self, I am ready to receive. Now do nothing, just be. For the next minute, let there be silence. No striving, no chasing, just the awareness that the version of you who has already healed, who has already risen, who has already transcended, is here. Let their presence merge with yours. Breathe with them, feel them, become them. Pause here for 60-90 seconds of silence and breath. Notice what arises in this space. A warmth in the chest, a stillness in the mind, a subtle confidence, as though something within you is quietly saying, yes, I remember, this has always been me. That is the transmission, not in words, but in being. And once you've touched it, no one can take it from you. Now that you've tasted this transmission, something very natural may be rising within you. Resistance, doubt. The mind begins to whisper, was that real, or was I just imagining? Understand this. Resistance is not failure. It is a sign that your nervous system is recalibrating to a frequency it is not yet stabilized in. Doubt appears because you are moving beyond the safety of linear thinking into lived awareness that transcends time. Let me tell you clearly, this is not fantasy, this is not daydreaming. What you touched is lived experience beyond the narrow lens of the linear mind. When wisdom appears in your awareness, fully formed, when solutions arrive without study, when peace descends without cause, these are the fingerprints of your multi-temporal self guiding you home. But still, we must remain grounded. Otherwise, the immensity of these realizations can pull us into abstraction, into endless concepts that float above life, instead of transforming it. So here are 3 grounding practices that will anchor your awareness into daily reality, ensuring that what you accessed remains alive and embodied. First, the breath reset. Whenever you begin to doubt, place your hand on your chest, close your eyes, and take 3 conscious breaths. With each exhale, whisper to yourself, I am here, I am now, I am whole. This simple act stabilizes your nervous system and reminds your body that presence is the only portal required. Second, the body anchor. Choose one physical gesture that becomes your anchor. It might be touching your heart, pressing your palms together, or simply standing barefoot on the ground. Every time you perform this gesture, affirm silently, I am connected across all timelines. My future self is with me now. By linking physical sensation with expanded awareness, you teach your nervous system that this state is safe, natural, and repeatable. Third, reality integration. Immediately after profound experiences, ask yourself, what one simple action can I take today that reflects the wisdom I've just received? It doesn't need to be dramatic. Send the message. Rest instead of forcing. Choose patience where you'd normally react. Each small action grounds expanded awareness into physical reality, proving to yourself that this is not just imagination, it is transformation. Resistance may still arise, that's natural. But each time you ground yourself, you weave your future self's wisdom into the fabric of your present life. Doubt dissolves not by fighting it, but by living in a way that validates what you've already touched. Remember this: the mind questions, but the body knows. Your heart knows, your breath knows, and every cell in your being is already vibrating with the memory of the one you are becoming, because that one is not separate. That one is you, right now. What you've just experienced is not the end. It is the beginning. A doorway has opened, and what determines how wide it stays open is how you integrate this awareness into your daily life. Without integration, the memory fades. But with practice, the connection becomes unshakable. So, let me give you 3 integration practices, simple, practical, and powerful, that ensure your awareness of the eternal now doesn't just remain an idea, but becomes a lived reality. First, the daily micro-practice. Every day, choose 1 or 2 moments to pause completely. Stop what you're doing, place your awareness on your breath, and remind yourself, this is the eternal now. When you remember, even for 30 seconds, that all versions of you exist simultaneously, something shifts. Decisions become lighter, urgency dissolves, and life begins to flow in coherence instead of resistance. Second, journaling the transmissions. Your future self has been speaking to you your whole life, but now you recognize the voice. Capture it. Each morning or each evening before sleep, open your journal and ask, what does my evolved self want me to know today? Write whatever rises, without censoring, without editing. Often, you'll notice the words carry a clarity and authority beyond your usual thinking. This is not fantasy. This is transmission. By writing them down, you build trust with that guidance and create a library of wisdom that belongs to you across timelines. Third, testing the guidance in real life. This is where the rubber meets the road. When an impulse, a nudge, or a download arrives, test it in the real world. If your future self is urging you to rest instead of forcing, try it. If they're nudging you to reach out to someone or to take an unexpected opportunity, act on it. You'll discover that what feels irrational from the perspective of fear often unfolds with synchronicities that confirm the intelligence of the guidance. The more you test, the more trust grows. And remember, integration is not about perfection. You don't have to live in permanent alignment every second of the day. You just need to return, again and again, to the awareness that your future self is here, now, always available. With each return, the channel strengthens. So here are your next steps. Pause daily. Journal the transmission. Test the guidance. And above all, carry the awareness that linear time is only a costume consciousness wears. Beneath it, your eternal self is already whole, already free, already wise. You are not walking toward your destiny, you are walking with it. You are not becoming, you are remembering. Take one final breath with me now. Inhale and exhale. Carry this truth deep into your being. You are not becoming, you already are. Every version of you across every timeline is alive within this eternal now. Nothing is missing, nothing is incomplete. You are whole, you are guided, you are already living the mastery you once believed was far away. If this transmission has resonated with you, anchor it here and now. Write these exact words in the comments below. I choose timeline mastery, not as a wish, not as a hope, but as a declaration that you are ready to collapse the illusion of linear time and live as the consciousness that has already transcended every limitation. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel. We are gathering those who remember, the 1% who are ready to live beyond the boundaries of time and to guide humanity into its next awakening. This isn't coincidence. You found this message because your future self made sure you did. The only question now is, will you listen? Remember, you are not becoming, you already are.